So it's Thursday evening. I'm gonna try this whole, one video a week and put a bunch of content in it. You know what I'm saying? So this is how we're gonna start. Since if you see my earlier video about how the channel is gonna change and go through some changes and do basically come out with one main video a week that instead of a bunch of little videos, go back and watch it. I don't want to do it all over again. Go back and watch it. That means I'm starting this week off late. It's Thursday evening. Working on the Galaxie, trying to get ready for some testing. Although, you hear that, ain't gonna be no testing this weekend. Which might be a saving grace. Because at the moment, I've got the pressure plate completely dismantled and completely apart. Because that sounded like a good idea. So here is the part of the pressure plate. There's the hood for the pressure plate. There's all the springs laid out right there. And the clutch disc has been cleaned up and trued, turned, whatever phrasing you want to use. So to catch you up so we start this thing out correctly, this all started because of the clutch slipping at Shady Side this past week. It's raining harder. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. With the clutch slipping this past weekend at Shady Side, pulled it apart. Didn't notice anything broken, but I did notice a lot of glazing on the clutch disc, and it had started to wear a little uneven. So we took it up to Stock Speed Shop. He's got a machine up there that can resurface a clutch disc. So we carried it up there and borrowed his equipment so that we could true the clutch disc. Well, when I trued the clutch disc, I come back home, check the pressure plate. It is a little off, enough to where I could kind of scuff it off and be okay. But that went down the rabbit hole of let's make a spring change in it, put different springs in it so we put different pressure on it. Basically, it went from just taking a clutch disc out, turning it and putting this thing back together to we've turned it into a project. I can't really explain that. Just like I can't explain that freaking blue dot that's floating around in here. I can't explain that. All I can say is it's just how my mind works, that all of a sudden I felt the need to dig into this thing. Change the springs in it, and we're going to up the pressure. I think we had 500-pound base springs in it, and I forget what they are when you go to turn them up. You can turn them way up there up to thousands of pounds, and I don't remember exactly what it is. But we're going from a 500-pound base spring to an 800-pound base spring, I believe. And then we're probably going to put a couple turns in it on top of that. So she's gonna grab, boys. Probably break something. We're probably going to add a little counterweight. This clutch has it set up so I can add counterweights to it. We're probably going to add some counterweights as well. And yeah, sounds like a great idea. Nope, not even a little bit. If you've never seen how one of the pressure plate goes together, this is basically the inside gut. So you've got a set of springs with adjusters on it. You've got 2, 4, 6 of them. They're on each side of these levers. And then you've got these springs here that set base pressure. These springs here, you turn these screws in or out to adjust the pressure past the base pressure on this. So basically it clamps down harder on these. You understand what I'm saying? And that adds more pressure to it. And then a hood goes over the top of this, and then these little levers right here, these bolts go in there. These little levers are what your right here is what your throwout bearing actually pushes down, which cantilevers this stuff to press and release the clutch. That's like the 30-second version of how it works. But you can change these springs out and change your base pressure. And then you got these springs here with these adjusters on top of them. And then these setups have holes right here so you can run counterweights through them, so that as the more RPM it turns, the harder this thing will clamp down. come up, clamp down harder and harder, the more RPMs it turns. Now, I'm in no way a school teacher, so that was a kind of a crappy explanation of how a pressure plate works, but it's kind of how it goes. And this is the hood that sits over the top of all of this, and that's what bolts down to the flywheel. I'll probably hit that with a little fresh coat of paint and clean it up, even though it's inside and you can't see it. I see it now, so I'll go through and clean all these up. I'll clean these up, clean the threads up on them and all, so they can go back in. These are aluminum, so they're kind of fragile. Change these springs. These are the springs we're changing. And yeah, we'll be ready to see what happens to her, boys. Good morning. Friday, day 2, the next morning. We had a lot of storms last night, so the first thing I'm gonna do before I even have my morning drink and breakfast and all that stuff is survey any damage that might have happened and just come out and check on everything. And everything is looking fairly well, so give everything a once over and get our day started. All right, so let's get started putting our pressure plate back together. New springs. New springs in there. Those dirty ones in the bag with the other new ones, because that makes perfect sense. Now, some of these little adjusters are a little sticky, so I'm gonna find me a tap to chase the threads on these with, and just clean them up a little bit so that these turn in and out really easily. Yeah. Set that one off, that way I know that I've already done that one. And there's no reason to come back to it. Listen, these little pieces are aluminum, so be very gentle with them. Don't just crank in there with something. They are really lightweight aluminum. So be gentle with them. I don't even put the tap in there and crank on tap. I actually just spin this up on the tap to clean it up. So slick you can't really get any pressure on it, so that ensures that I don't just completely booger it up. Yeah, see, we need these to slide in and out nice and smooth like that. See, here's one it's really tough, so I'm gonna have to get a little. This is all part of how you can change the pressure on your clutch disc is through these little adjustments here. By turning them in and out, you either add or take away pressure on the clutch. Got to make sure we can get the power to the ground, and this is how you do that. And it takes some fine tuning to get it there. No way to know if you're right or wrong until you test the car. So I'm gonna go through and do all these and bring you right back. No sense in you watching me spin stuff on and off of a tap. So you remember all that talk about painting this and cleaning it up? Anyone else surprised that that ain't happening? Listen, here's the deal. I really wanted to have the car together to do some testing tonight. It's Friday. A lot of places have testing on Friday nights. So that was the goal. But the weather we had last night, I don't see anybody actually having a testing tonight. So kind of takes us off on that a little bit. But at the end of the day, I want the thing back together. I want to get back out there and start making passes and get back to where we need to be. And I can't do that worrying about painting something that doesn't matter. So a couple of interesting things have happened here as I'm putting this back together. First off, if you're gonna do this, get you a press. You're gonna have to have some kind of press. Improvise, whatever that means, but you're going to have some kind of press, cheap Harbor Freight press, doesn't matter. Got to be able to hold it together while you put the bolts back in it. Second, the light right on top of my press suddenly went poof, and it's dark over here. Hence the so somebody asked me a few days ago how many of these pressure plates have I built like this, these racing pressure plates. And I'm gonna give you the honest answer right now. This one. Yep. That's it. Now, I've had pushback and go, well, why wouldn't you let somebody else do it that has done these before? Well, everybody has to do it the first time sooner or later, right? I mean, everything you do, there was a time you done it for the first time. Doesn't matter what it was. At some point in time, you did it for the first time. Including popping your head in the top of a press. What I'm saying is, don't let the fact you've never done something stop you from doing it. All you need is one of those basic understandings that your mama tried to teach you when you was a little kid. Put things back where you got them. If you take something apart, put all the little pieces back where you got them. You can put new pieces in it, just put them back where you got them. Until you understand how they work. All right, so we got it all back together now. And basically, there's 3 bolts here for at these levers that hold it together. Again, I'm not the best teacher, so don't rely on me to teach you anything. But that puts it all back together. She should be ready now to go back into the car. Although, I am going to do a couple of things. One, try to clean all my greasy handprints off of it because, well, it doesn't need any excuse to slip. Probably hit that with some brake clean. I'm going to wipe everything down, and then I'm going to go ahead and do kind of what you're not supposed to do. I'm going to make an adjustment on the bench. Normally, this needs to be bolted down in the car before you make any kind of adjustments on it. But I'm going to go ahead and make I better not. I better just stick to the way that it's supposed to be done. I was gonna go ahead and make a minor adjustment to give me a good base starting, but everything's gonna change once it's in the car anyway. Because once it's in the car, the clutch disc sits here. Well, the clutch disc is actually taller than this a little bit, so when you tighten it down, it all compresses together a little, and it'll change the spring height, is what I'm saying. So instead of adjusting anything now, I'm gonna wait till it's in the car to make my adjustment. Just checking to make sure all these springs seated where they were supposed to. It appears that they're all in there good. Sticking my nose right over the top of it in case something wasn't bolted down good, it just fly right up in my face. But right there is basically what holds this together. Not entirely, but basically what holds this together. And you got to compress this enough to these springs enough to get these bolts in. And well, there's a lot of pressure there. One of the other things that I'm going to do now is add counterweights to this. Now I'm going to do a little anal on my counterweights, and I want them all identical. So that's going to be the next part of this process, is adding a little counterweight. All right, so we picked up some small little bolts. We'll use these bolts as counterweights. Now, if you've never run a setup like this, you're probably not familiar with the idea of counterweights. But what these counterweights do is, again, I'm not the greatest person in the world to explain things, so I have to dumb it down so I can understand what I'm saying. What these counterweights do is basically, this is just a little bit of weight on the end of this arm here. The more RPMs that the engine turns, the harder this presses against your clutch, and the tighter it makes that. So less slip you'll get on your clutch at higher RPMs. On a street application, you'll never get to the point where these would make a difference, I wouldn't think. But when you're shifting at 7,000 to 10,000 RPMs, when you bang that next gear way up at high and you're kind of hitting that clutch setup, you don't want that slip. This right here will cause it to clamp tighter. I guess that's a good way to explain it. Now I'm going to weigh each one of these, and I'm going to weigh them in grams so that I can make sure that I'm just stupidly close to the same weight on every one of these. And in case you haven't noticed, anything around here suffers from flat surface syndrome. So if there's a flat surface around here, I use it as a table. All right, let's set this one on here and see what we weigh. 649. We gotta find our heaviest one. 658. Or we need to find our lightest one, I'm sorry. And 656. These two are really close together. This one's the lightest one. I'm gonna look and see if there's another one that's really close to those two. 657 right there. All right, those two are real close together. I'm taking this one away. I think I grabbed a handful. Yeah, I think these are almost exactly the same here. Yeah, these two right here are pretty much dead nuts. So they're at 655. So this is 656. So I'm putting it right there with them because I believe this one was 658, if I remember correctly. Yes. All right. So we got three here that are pretty close to exactly the same. Now, let me grab a file. All right. So, let's find our lightest one. We got 655. So we're at 55 on that one. 54 on that one. 56 this one, so we want them to be 54. So I'm gonna take the file and just I'm just barely hitting this thing. I know you can't see that. I don't know why I showed it to you. I'm just barely hitting this thing because it won't take much to take that off. Okay, 6. What is this one? I think this one was 55. Yeah, 55. And what was this one? 56. So we got a 656, a 655, and a 656. So we need just a hair more off this one, or off of these two. All right, I think we're there. Just a little bit off of this one. Oh yeah. So we're consistent across the board now. All those were the same. Now, we'll do the same thing with the little stop nuts that go on the end of them. I'm gonna weigh each one of them. All right, let's see what we got. 370. 370, wow. What are the odds of that? I guess they're a little more consistent with something smaller. 371. I mean, come on. Oh, wait, it moved to 370. Come on. We're gonna call that a very German situation. Good enough. Then we put these through here. Just like this. And I'm gonna grab a wrench and tighten these down real quick, and we'll be right back. Okay, so all this is taken care of now. This is put together and ready to actually install into the car. Now, once it's installed in the car, there's some adjustments we make. One is the adjustments we was talking about earlier with the amount of turns we put in here and how much pressure we put on it. There's another adjustment where there's shims that we put under here to shim this thing on up and back off the flywheel, or closer or further away from the flywheel. All those are things I will show you under the car. Now, I want to also point out that this is something Ram will do for you. Ram will, their products are completely rebuildable. You can send these back to Ram, and Ram will rebuild all this for you and probably do a little better job than what I did, because again, first time I've taken one apart and rebuilt it. But there is the issue of, I need to test this car. This car is really untested yet, even though we did make a start of a pass at Shady Side. We really haven't got to make a pass under power in this car yet. So it's really untested, and I need to be able to test this car. Again, the plan was, when I started this, was to test this weekend, but we've had so much bad weather over the last couple of days. Supposed to be more coming in today. Today is Friday. That I don't see an opportunity in my future to be able to go test this. Now, who knows, the weather could change at any time. But with that being said, I needed a quick turnaround on this. Ram doesn't have time to put me in front of everybody else, or they can't do that. So I chose to rebuild this setup myself. Again, I've never done this before, but just like I said before, if you follow your mama's advice from when you was a kid and put things back where you got them, it's not really a big deal. There's a couple of bolts. Make sure you got a press to hold it down. Take a couple bolts out, release the pressure slowly, and just configure things in there. I did reach out to Ram and get new springs for the base pressure. Those springs are a little different than what I was running before. I'm just looking to make sure everything's seated good. Those springs are a little different than what I was running before, but we're also running a combination. We're running 2 different weight springs, and that's something that I've talked to several places, not just Ram, about, and it seemed like the right move for this. But you live that way. How would I be closer to going to?
Because you just go 123 and 85.
I go 29, 85. What? I already got this put together. Look. New springs. See the new springs?
Mm-hmm. They're yellow, my favorite color.
Got counterweights now.
Fancy. So what was the problem with it?
The clutch disc, which is laying over there, was completely hosed over. It was glazed. It looked like a mirror. It was just completely wasted. And this was a little out of...
Wet.
Yeah, it was a little... Well, it was kind of out of... And now it's just a little.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
But hopefully it works better than it did. One of 2 things is going to happen. Either now it's going to grab so hard that it's going to just twist shit off, or
probably,
or it's going to slip worse than it did before.
Either way, we're going to be back here next week. Same time, same batch.
No.
You're supposed to be sturdy. Get it together.
This don't work. We'll put an automatic in it, put nitrous on it, and they'll play no prep kings.
I don't think Legacy would like that.
I think it would. It's all forced internals now. It should hold it.
Now that he said that you should, you're not going to, right?
Hold this.
Oh, God.
I'm going to get my blankie under there. I'm going to get my blankie under there, and then we'll slide that in there. I'll get my little shaft over there so we can line everything up, and the shims and bolts and all for all this is under there. We'll get it bolted down, and then we'll start taking our measurements and do our settings and all. We'll set our clutch up.
Okay.
Good with all that?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got it?
No. I'll figure it out when we get there.
Do you understand the words coming from my mouth?
You need some gum.
Oh, there we go. Maybe we'll get something worth watching.
I'm always worth watching.
Okay, so we got the clutch disc up there. Now I want to orient this so that I can get to the hole that I want to do the measuring in. I think like this. Here's the hard part. I gotta get this up there with these 2 shims on the back of it without all this falling off.
God, I hope it don't fall.
Well, it usually helps if you got a couple extra hands under here, Lee.
Wow, I wonder what those would be.
it generally helps. I said you had to have it, but it do help. It do help. Wait a minute, where am I lined up at? I don't think I do. Hold it. I'm trying to get this monster socket you brought down here up there.
I brought a ratchet and wrench just in case.
See, now I can't hardly get my hand up in there.
Up in there.
I think it's in there. Oh,
yeah, it's in there.
I'm gonna have to rest my head on your creeper for a minute.
Get off my creeper.
Rest your head on my creeper.
Shh, don't say creeper too loud, you might call them.
Like Beetlejuice. You say their name too often.
Yeah.
They show up.
And then they're all just going to show up in their little white vans.
What is...
What are you doing?
I'm seeing something on the camera. I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Your finger?
No, it's... Oh, that's my head. I thought that was your head.
My forehead's not that big.
Hey! Fighting words. Got no big forehead.
You could land a plane on your forehead.
Hey, get your ass kicked on.
Ow!
What now?
Your forehead's button.
You're so gonna get hit in the mouth.
Fighting words. Hello? Is there anybody in there? If you give me the other two, I'll get the other two.
Let me get these started. What was that?
This.
Yeah. Don't monkey with stuff.
But I'm the monkey. I'm supposed to monkey.
I'm the vanilla gorilla.
And that makes me the monkey. The grillette?
The grillette.
I don't know what gorilla babies are called.
Chimps? Is that right? Now you got me freaking thinking about that shit. What's a monkey baby called or a gorilla baby?
Puppy monkey baby.
Alright, so now that we got that in there, we have to measure the height of the hood off this plate here. And since I can't see shit anyway, I picked the smallest pair of calipers I own.
It's fine, I can see.
And shove them through this hole right here. Oops, wrong one. And we get that measurement. I'm gonna lock it down right there so we can see it. And we want
1.972.
Yeah, we want 1950.
Okay, well that's not it.
Well, no, that's not it. But now you have to do math, goober. So we want to go to 1950.
So that's like 0.028.
What? Where did you get math? Look, we want to be close to 1950. So if we're let's say we're at 1970, we need 20 thousandths. I've got 20 thousandths under it. What?
Thousandths.
That's what I said.
Is that the extra zero?
You see that little dot?
Yeah.
It's the change. We're at $1.97 right now.
So it's
and we need to be at $1.95.
Listen, I'm going to school for lungs, not math.
So the difference between 70 cents and 50 cents.
It's 20 cents. I know that.
So
Well, it makes it easier.
So we need.
Listen, if you're dying, I can save you. That doesn't require math, okay?
Okay, look. So I want to try to explain this. There's shims under here that lift this up, right?
Are you having a stroke?
We lift this up.
Do you smell burnt toast?
You said you smell burnt toast, asshole. You're having it and I'm getting the effects. Okay.
It's a contagious stroke.
All right, look. We got two shims under here. Each one of them's 10 thousandths. So we got 20 thousandths under this to lift this up 20 thousandths. So that sets this off of this 20 thousandths. And we need to be, turn this around. We need to be 20 thousandths.
Smaller.
Yeah, we need to be closer 20 thousandths. We need to get this measurement right here as close to 50 as we can get it. And we need to take it closer 20 thousandths because we've taken some off the clutch. The way we adjust these is, first off, just so you know what's there, you turn these in till they're off, till they're not touching.
Can you explain that in a dumbed down way?
Yeah, I am. Turn these in. All right. So then So then what we're going to do is we're going to turn these, and I like to do it by hand. We're going to turn these till you feel it touch this hood right here. All right, and then after it touches this hood, you're turning the screw backwards like you're backing it out, and it puts pressure down on that spring, which clamps on that clutch tighter. And you want to turn all these the same amount of turns, and you want to start where they're just touching. That way you know how much you got. And some of these are a little stiff, so let me just make sure they're all.
That seems like a very sensitive subject.
Yeah, it is, and it's honestly something that'll end up probably need to be fine-tuned at the track, and I'm hoping I get to have some test time before the race that I can do this. So I'm gonna go around by hand and turn these till they're just touching the hood.
Well, now you know testing things is admitting failure.
Well, I said I'd like to test this so I can set the clutch up, but what's probably going to happen is we're going to show up the track and send it and hope we don't scatter shit all over the track. Hopefully we don't break rear end or nothing again, because she a big girl.
You're a thick girl, Legacy. Thick!
Alright, so now, hopefully there's enough room under here for this thing to go.
Cuckoo.
Those top ones are going to be the ones that's going to be hard. But basically what we're going to do is put this in here, pick a point where it's in there, and then you make your adjustments like, well, hold on. Come on, ratchet, do your ratcheting thing.
Make the noise.
Yeah. Alright, so it's taut right there, and you would go 1, 2, right there. You see how we went 2 rounds in that? That's how much pressure we put on that spring.
2 ugga-duggas?
2 rounds is what we put on that one. And then, so that I know I've already done that one, I'm gonna mark it with a same color marker. That way it doesn't show up and you can't see it. And you have no freaking idea which one it was, because it's the same.
Now where did I put that mark?
Color mark. Yep. Oh. But how many turns I'm going to use is top secret, so. Well, this shop suffers from flat surface syndrome. So if it's a flat surface, we use it as a table. And I need to work on this bell housing a little bit and do a little finagling with this clutch forward. Will you, looking at the box that says pliers, and get me a pair of wire cutters out?
Might take me about a minute to get there.
Alrighty. In the words of a musician, I can't remember their name, let's get this party started. You remember their name? I didn't ask you to sing the song. I asked you to remember their names.
My singing services are free.
Did you just pull on that?
This? No. I pulled this down to get it out of the way.
Yeah. Not up there. Hold on. Let me see. Are we lined up? We need. Let me get you a decent pair of work boots.
Can I get the steel toe?
You seen that guy on TikTok that makes steel-toed hey dudes?
I did see that. I did in fact see that. Should we make my Crocs steel toe?
I'm not going to justify anything to do with a Croc with an answer.
Don't hate on my Crocs.
This is the one time you'll see a little bit of hate out of me. I can throw some hate on the Crocs.
But look, I can make them work proof. All I gotta do is put them in four-wheel drive. And then they can't slide off. See?
What's that going to do for you? Got transmission falling on your foot.
Yeah. That's what we gotta make them steel toe.
I don't think cool's the one you were looking for.
It was.
Will you give me that battery ratchet under there?
Yeah. Let me fix my other.
See? The Crocs is holding up production.
Oh, no production.
What in the hell are you doing? How can you not work a creeper?
Because it doesn't make any freaking sense.
It's wheels on a skateboard. How does
There's
it
too
not
many
make-
wheels on it. Ah! Don't make me cause the car fall off the ramps.
Here, stick your leg in up. Grab the ratchet.
I can do it.
You sure?
Uh-uh.
Oh.
I'm good. You can do it.
Whoa, wait a minute. Oh, I can be in there. Let's see that for a second.
Caw-caw.
This is what it'd be like if I had a drone. I did not have a mullet in high school.
Do you have a moment at some point in time?
I had one of those what do you call it, pompous or something like that. I had one of those Elvis deals in high school. The greaser hair.
Do you have the wrench to jack it up with?
Yeah, it's under here. There's a couple of them under here.
Feels so good under here.
Well, the fan's blowing right up my butthole.
Oh, that explains why you're so gassy. Can I jack it up?
Yeah, hang on. Have you been OSHA certified?
I'm just as OSHA certified as you are.
Well, see, that doesn't make me feel any better. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, crank it up there. Wait a minute, it's got to come back towards you. Jacked up to the sky, 35's on it. Oh.
What? The jack?
Yeah, I gotta go up. Go up with it, up with it, up with it. Alright, hang on just a second. Where's our flashlight at? Is it under here?
No.
Of course it's not. That's my eyes.
Ow.
Alright, now we know we're doing time. Now I can see it. Now.
I'm not.
Where are you going there, kid? You keep going, you're going to come out this side over here.
I don't know.
Let's see here. Oh, clutch light.
Oh,
There you go. You see what you're doing? Have you got the bolt started?
yeah, it's started. I'm just gonna tighten it.
Well, okay. Yeah. Bring this back out now. Of course, the ones that you can get to the easiest, you can run all the way down top with your fingers. Alright, so these two over here are in finger tight.
Okay, this one over here is tight. No, it's not.
It is or it's not? I'm confused. Is it or is it not?
I am confused as well because it is harder to turn, but it is not all the way in there.
Oh.
I'm gonna put some more elbow grease into it. Don't mind me.
Yeah, let me see here. Let's see how far that is.
Okay.
How far out are you?
Still a bit.
Alright, so we need that cross member that's right there by your lovely little head. Hey, don't let that fall off, hit your mouth.
I would greatly appreciate it.
Well, use your hands. You have those bare paws for a reason. Alright. Hang on, watch it there. I need to reposition this jack and get a little bit off this transmission so that a little more, huh?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Might slip the jack too far though. So yeah, baby. Pinion angle on the rear. These things have a nice little fucking aluminum case. What am I thinking? Hey, hey, hey! I'll hold it right there. What's it? I said I'll hold it. You read it. What's it? Oh wait.
I was gonna say, what am I supposed to be looking at?
Well, let me turn it around. I'll hold it. What the hell are you doing with your hat on backwards? What are you, a hoodlum? Some kind of thug?
Oh yeah, because thugs hang out with their dad in their garage. Yeah, I'm totally a hoodlum.
I didn't say you was a good thug. I just said you look like a thug. So, you got a transmission in, finally. Drive chassis in. Clutch is all done. Of course, the clutch was all done before we put the transmission in because we needed to do that for the transmission in. All that's done. Got to put the starter on and put the linkage up.
Yeah, that.
That's it. And then the car's done. We've got an engine right there that we're putting together, but it's not in this video because my new format that I thought was a great idea to do of one video a week turned this into like an hour video. So that's not going to be in this video. That will be in the next video. Yeah, because that's what I'm doing now, is putting that engine together. And that'll be in the next video. And the next video, that should be a done-ish engine.
Almost done?
Almost done engine.
There you go. That's grammatically correct.
That'll be grammatically correct. And I want to put that engine on a run stand and fire it up, because that belongs to a guy in Georgia. I believe is where he's at for his cool old truck. Looks a lot like my first truck. Old F100. His might be an F250. But anyway, it's the same color as mine. So We need to get it done. He's been waiting too long on that motor. It keeps, well, I know, it keeps getting pushed back. Parts issues, and then they sent the wrong parts one time. So nobody needs to hear that. Why are we rambling about that? Listen, the important thing is the car is mostly back together. You got to see most of that, and we're done. Hope the Lord bless you today. We're out. Peace. Gone.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Later.